introduction there. I'd like to thank everybody for joining today. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the DIGIOP software platform and how we work with back office data systems to bring in that information, specifically Microsoft Actions and data, prevent shoplifting and employee theft and all sorts of those challenges that retailers face. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email. My email is down here, bdown@digiop.com. We're a main company based out of Indianapolis. We've been around for a little over 10 years now. Our primary software solution has been a video management solution. Right? So that's the CCTV world and the security world is a world that we've played in for quite some time. We kind of saw some needs and some opportunities to move into a more of a data capture piece of the business out there, and what that does is brings value into retailers and to bank branches and other financial institutions, and allowing them to tie in a lot of that back office data into the video systems. Software is our bread and butter. That is what we do. Our software development team is based out of Indianapolis. Real big plus about that is if we're working on a project where maybe we need an integration with a certain line of cameras or a certain data piece, or if we're looking to report metrics in a way that's not currently available, we're able to manage that and bring that in pretty quickly and write that with our guys up in Indianapolis. So let's look at some of the challenges with retail. Loss prevention is real prevalent. That comes in many different flavors. Whether it be employee theft, transactional theft, or just shoplifting in general. We can help with a lot of those things. Also moving into some operational efficiencies, where we're looking at staffing levels, traffic flow patterns, heat mapping, queue lines. Are our customers being served fast enough, quick enough? Are we keeping our customers happy? Is our merchandising working? So we're able to bring in some of that data and tie that not only to physical security, but a marketing aspect as well, by looking at our end caps, drawing the attention that they want, to draw people actually stopping and spending time looking at the product that we want them to be looking at. So let's look at loss prevention. As I mentioned, loss prevention comes in several different flavors. Employee theft is a real big piece of that. Everything from discounts to zero sales, coupons, sweethearting. We'll look at the two-person rule. So from a loss prevention standpoint, having a camera system in general really does a lot to help prevent loss, right? So, and to deter theft. So when people see that you have cameras in your facility, they're a lot less likely to steal. Now, that was true for a long time. Employees and people are becoming a lot more intelligent about how to beat those systems, right? So some of the things that I would suggest doing, and some of the things that you can look at doing, is utilizing covert cameras and megapixel cameras. One thing that we've been real successful in doing is using overt cameras that are easily seen, to kind of push undesirable behavior into one section of a store, maybe a store where you have a blind spot with your coverage, and then utilizing a covert camera to cover that blind spot, someplace where an employee or a customer might think that they're safe in stealing, like they're not being watched, but because there's a covert camera, whether it be a smoke detector camera or a pinhole camera up in the ceiling, they are truly indeed being watched. Right? Megapixel is another good option to this as well. With megapixel, you can cover wider areas of your store with the same, if not better, detail. So where I really like using megapixel cameras is going to be in your choke points. So if I'm looking at a doorway where I want to be able to get more facial type features, the megapixel does a really good job at that, because you have a pretty well-defined area where people are coming in and out of that you're able to cover with a high megapixel camera, and get that type of detail and resolution, and store that on your video system to be referred to later on. We also integrate with some other options, whether it's electronic article surveillance devices. So if you have the shoplifting tags on some of your clothing, we can integrate with those systems and bring in that data, so that every time maybe somebody passes through one of those sensors, a notification is sent. Hey, there's a possible shoplifting event going on right now. It's time, date stamped, and it correlates directly to the video of the event. So not only do you have the event happening, but you have video of that event happening side by side. When we look at transactional shrinkage, this is where the power of the point-of-sale integration really comes into play. So having such a solid integration with RMS and other point-of-sale solutions, what we do and what we're able to do is bring in all of that point-of-sale data, and we bring it into our system. And once it's in our system, we can do a myriad of things with it. You can watch transactions live, side by side with video, as we see here. We can also filter, search, and query this information, so that way, if we want to look for exception transactions, whether they be modifiers, discounts, voids, no sales, returns, those sorts of things, we can easily search and identify those transactions, and then have the corresponding video in the same dashboard. So you're seeing the transaction as it's happening, and you're seeing the video of that corresponding video. And because it's all time synchronized, they're completely synced together, and you're not seeing any kind of delay. You don't have to go to a point-of-sale software and search for a transaction and then try to match that to video from your video system. That's all done together. We bring all that in together. This is a kind of a neat video here. What we're looking at here is an example of a two-person role. So what we've set up here is a camera above a cash register, and we're looking at point-of-sale data coming in on the right-hand side over here. And as long as the customer is standing within a specified zone, and this zone doesn't have to be drawn on the ground like you see here, that's for illustrative purposes. This is actually done digitally in the camera. As long as the customer is standing in there and voids are being rung up, everything's okay. There's a two-person rule there, it's satisfied, everything's all right. But now we see that the customer walks away, and our cashier is starting to ring up some transactions and rings up a void. Well, we see that our fraudulent transaction counter down here jumps up, and we see an email notification come across. So watch these numbers down here with our exception transactions and our fraudulent exception transactions. As he does another void, we're going to see both of those numbers jump, and we're going to see another email come across that, hey, there's another possible fraudulent transaction going on. This is a nice thing. You can then get that email, reference your video, and see if there's possible instances of employee theft and transactional fraud happening. So tying our systems into just kind of overall inventory loss, right? So if you have any kind of warehousing or operating with any kind of electronic access control in a warehouse or maybe in a staging area for any of your materials, we can also integrate with electronic access control, so that way we're able to see every time that employee A enters the door, and we have the video of them walking in the door, and if they swipe to go off the door, we have that card swipe is kept by our system. We can search by that and then take a look at every time that employee A enters or exits, and what they have in their hands if you're suspicious of them carrying things off the back door. So operational efficiencies. This is more of an opportunity for us to help improve bottom line in a retail atmosphere. Some things that we can do with our intelligent people counting is help you improve staffing levels. So we have a camera that is a stereoscopic camera. It's called the DIGIOP 3D people counting camera. This camera is currently in pilots with several large retailers with a couple hundred sites, and we are testing the accuracy of this camera. And what we've found is hour by hour we are at about a 97 to 98% accuracy rate with our people counting camera. And we're not talking, 2 or 3 people walking in every hour. We're talking 200 or 300 people walking through that door every hour. To get those kind of accuracy numbers versus a system, say like a Shopper Tracks or any other type of people counting system, even using a video analytic from a CCTV camera, you're looking more in the range of 75 to 85% accuracy. So when we bring in those metrics and that data and look at the full people counting capabilities and having accurate people counting, we're able to do a couple things here. And one of the major things is optimizing your staffing levels. What are our peak hours? How accurate is that? And we're able to present that data to you to kind of show you over the course of the day where your peak hours are and where you might want to have more staffing. Using that same DIGIOP 3D camera, we can monitor queue times. So how long are my customers actually standing in line before they're being helped? Do we need to staff an extra cashier? Is our cashier that we're staffing, are they operating fast enough to keep the customers from getting frustrated and upset? With the queue time metrics, we can tell you exactly when a person entered the line and when they left the line, and give you that amount of time that they actually spent in time or in line. All these things just kind of help to improve your overall customer experience, right? So if we can move them into the store, direct them towards the items that they want to buy, maybe direct them past some items that they hadn't thought about buying, but had, because of marketing have thought, well, maybe I could use one of those, and then get them up to the cashiers, the cash registers, move them through line quickly, and keep your customers happy. Those are things that our system can actually help you do from a data standpoint. Now, using a video standpoint, part of that customer experience is going to be the cleanliness of the store. Do we have obstructions in aisleways? And those are all things that can be monitored through a manager on or off site. So if you have a regional manager looking in on a store, maybe he's working from his home office or he's at another store, he's able to look in over the internet into that store and bring up the video data from anywhere in the world and look at that and say, well, there's really a lot of clutter going on here. This is going to give our customers an overall bad experience. There's slip and fall hazards, tripping liabilities there. Let me get on the phone and make a call and make sure that the store gets cleaned up. Another thing that we do with the point of sale integration is we calculate conversion rates. So we found that in a number of retail atmospheres that store managers or other employees will actually get paid based on conversion rates. And what we're able to do by bringing in the point of sale data along with our DIGIOP 3D people counting camera is we can give you very accurate conversion rates. And we calculate that for you in our software. We give you live real-time conversion rates, up to the minute. We even give you total sales for the day, $1 per shopper, $1 per order type metrics as well. So how do we help with store design and merchandising? Well, this is kind of more of how we can actually help and be appealing to more of a kind of a marketing side of a retail atmosphere. What we're looking at here is traffic flow patterns, right? And this is done using video analytics and our surveillance cameras, right? We can actually show you heat mapping traffic patterns on how people are walking through your location. So if somebody's coming in the door and your high-dollar items over on the right-hand side of your store, and people typically walk in and they walk right to the left, well, maybe we want to direct them over to the right-hand side, putting things in place to kind of push them that direction, those sorts of things. And what we can do here is actually take a look at how people are traveling and moving throughout the store. This goes to improving your store layout, placing your end caps. So with the dwell time here, and we see how long people are standing in one certain location over here, we can tell whether a person walks up to an end cap and spent, just walked right by it, or they spent 3 seconds, or they actually stopped and spent, a minute or two taking the merchandise off the end cap and looking at it and deciding whether or not they want to buy it. So we can help determine how efficient some of the marketing and store layout design is in your location. So to touch on some of our current retail solutions, we've got a large number of the limited stores in place right now. 7-Elevens, I believe it's around 2,500 7-Eleven stores that we are currently in place with. McDonald's, Whataburger, Goodwill, Love's, Party City, Garden Ridge. So when we say retail, I mean, we're talking anything from a retail atmosphere at a mall to a real quick C-store, even to financial institutions. Where our software works really well is when you have a defined number of cameras, say up to 32 cameras per location, but you're kind of repeating that across multiple planes. So if you have an 8 or 16 camera count, but you're duplicating that across 14 or 15 locations, or we've got pilots out there where we're looking at 280 locations. The way that we bring in the video and data and present it to you all in one kind of unified dashboard really helps balance what you're looking at and what you're looking for in each kind of location, along as bringing in multiple video feeds and data feeds from different locations so you can do store comparisons in real time. I'm going to jump out of this slideshow here and jump into the actual software itself. I'm going to spend some time here looking at the software. So this is DIGIOP Connect. This is the client software, and realistically, this is where your customers, end users, are going to be spending most of their time. Right? This is our video dashboard. What we see over here on the left-hand side is we have several different video servers listed over here. These could be multiple locations. So if you have a retail atmosphere, you have 9 locations, you would have all 9 of your systems listed over here on the left-hand side. The orange stack of hard drives indicates a data server, and the blue monitor indicates a video server. So we're able to open up any of these servers and kind of click and drag cameras over from any location, looking at different video feeds from different locations. I want to even bring an entire system over and populate all the cameras from that system. Well, what we can do here is then tie that in with the different pieces of data. So the screen that we're looking at right now is we have 2 live cameras. One of them is outside of our parking lot here, and I'm actually going to bring in our front door camera. So we've got right outside our office at Lake DIGIOP, and then we've got a back door with a people counting camera on it. And we've got a couple different video feeds here. These could be front doors to your locations. They could be just general coverage. Maybe you want to look at your parking lot. Doesn't matter. We've got all sorts of different layouts that you can set up here to organize your cameras in the way that you want to be able to utilize that information, that video and data. We also have some data pieces coming in here. So what we're looking at here is traffic entered. We've got our DIGIOP 3D people counting camera, and we're getting those counts coming in live in real time. We can see it at 8 a.m. we had 14 people coming in the door, and at 9 a.m. there was only 3, and 10 a.m. there was only 3 people, and we're getting a little bit closer to lunchtime. There's a little bit more traffic going on that back door. This right here is the view from the DIGIOP 3D people counting camera. This camera is not meant to be a surveillance camera. This camera is meant to be mainly as an analytic device to give you that accuracy in our people counts. We have live conversion rates that we're looking at here, and we're also looking at transactional data. So here we've got point-of-sale data coming across from an emulator that we have, just kind of plugging away transactions. We're able to roll through that and see these transactions as they come in real time. You can click and drag any of these cameras to different window panes. So if I wanted to look at something in a larger pane and actually look at my traffic counts up here and take a little bit more detailed look at that, I'm able to do so. Can also bring any of these cameras full screen. We have a multi-tab viewing environment, so I could be looking at a specific DVR on one channel or on one screen, where I can pull up a completely different system on another tab here, and I can move back and forth between these tabs seamlessly to look at multiple locations. We can undock one of those tabs. So notice when I undock a tab, we still have full functionality of the software. I can click and drag this over to a secondary monitor, and now I can be doing search and playback, be digging through some of my point-of-sale data on one monitor while I'm still watching live video feeds on another monitor. We can dock that and put that right back in line, and it puts it right back in line with our tabs up here. On a megapixel type camera, we have the ability to do a digital zoom. Right? And this comes in real handy if you want to get maybe better facial features or license plate in this instance. We're able to do a zoom on a megapixel camera because there is more data there. Right? If you were to do a zoom on a non-megapixel camera, what we end up seeing is pixelation. Right? As we zoom in, we're blowing up pixels, and your screen starts to look worse and worse as you zoom further in. With a megapixel type resolution, we're able to do that sort of zoom without losing that resolution. And that zoom can be done both in live and playback. So if you have an exported piece of video, or if you're looking at some video in playback, you're looking at when a theft occurred or somebody entered the door 2-3 hours ago, 2-3 weeks ago, you're able to do that same sort of zoom and look and get more information out of that. We looked at that DIGIOP 3D people counting camera and showed you that the view that you get out of that camera isn't really an optimal for CCTV purposes. I mean, that's not what it's really designed for. But we can also bring over some of the other views that this camera gives us and take a look at the heat mapping. Like here, this is a great example of heat mapping that you're getting from that camera. And when we look at, say, the view out of that camera with the heat mapping, we can tell exactly how people move through this hallway. It looks like more people will come up through the bottom and then move off to the right, or come through the right of the screen there and then move off to the bottom. We're getting more traffic moving that way than we are moving straight ahead or off into this room on the left. Let's jump into some of the search features here. So I'm going to grab a video piece and a register piece, and I'm going to do a search on those two devices. So what we see populate here is I have cash register data coming across over here, and I've got that right alongside my video. What we're seeing is when this first comes up, it kind of gives you a bar graph type look and feel, so that you can hover above and see exactly how many transactions happened per hour or per hour segment. If we come up here to show details, we get the actual transactional data that's come across from the point of sale cash register. And these will be all, so let me touch on this. If you have multiple registers at one location, each of those registers will be named and tagged. So each register's information is stored and kept separately. So you're not left with a giant dump of data into one kind of register feed that then you have to kind of sort through and try to figure out what register this came from. What you're able to do is actually determine, well, this is register 1, this is register 2, and then grab my video that correlates with that register feed and bring those in side by side. So what I want you to notice here is as I kind of roll through the transactions, that the video changes over on the right-hand side. They're not huge changes, or we're looking at maybe a car moving or something like that. But what I really want to illustrate here is the fact that as you move and scroll through transactions, you're actually jumping to that point in the video. So these are completely time synced. And as we push play, we'll see that that car moves through, and we're moving to other pieces of that transactional data. We also have a scrub bar here, so you can move using that scrub bar to any point in the video or the data and have those two line up and synchronize for you. We have some really neat search features here. So if I wanted to come here and I want to search on that video, we have a thumbnail search feature. So if I'm looking at a set period of time and I want to, I had a theft or something happened, that maybe it's a vandalism, and I want to look and see, I'm not entirely sure when it happened. It could have happened 3 days ago. What I can do is adjust my timeline here to cover that 3 days, and then select my thumbnails feature, and now I've got evenly spaced thumbnails. So I can come in here and look and really determine when that vandalism, when that theft happened. Here's a really good example. I want to find out when this car showed up here. So I can look and say, in this thumbnail, the car's not there yet. In this thumbnail, the car is. So I know somewhere between those 2 points in time is when that vehicle showed up. When we take that a step further and click and drag between those two thumbnails, those two thumbnails now become the endpoints of our timeline, and it fills itself in with more thumbnails. So we do the same thing again. We look and say, well, the car isn't here yet, and the car is over here. So we know, again, somewhere between those 2 points in time is when that car appeared, and we're able to then again narrow down into that video. This tool is really useful for moving from, say, 3 weeks or 3 days of video down to a really usable 2 or 3 minute clip of video with just a couple mouse clicks. With other video management software platforms, what you end up doing is spending a tremendous amount of time looking through video events and fast forwarding through video to get to the actual usable video that you're looking for. The thumbnails really helps out there. If I come back up here and select my transaction data, notice that when I select my transaction data, I now have that orange border around that window. I can come in and do filter queries. So if I want to search across my timeline for show me every time that a transaction item, a transaction description, I want to see every time that paper towels were thrown out. What it'll do is it will automatically query the database and bring up every transaction that is going to have paper towels on it. And using the video side by side, I can jump right to that point in time and look at when the actual video and see the actual video of that transaction happening. Now, there's a lot of other queryable features in here coming from a very security background. Some of these don't make a whole lot of sense to me, but they might make a lot more sense to people with a retail background. You can search by transaction IDs, register IDs, modifier types, modifier amounts, subtotals, tender amounts, transaction tender types, more modifier reasons, authorizations. So there is just a whole myriad of ways that you can come in here and manipulate that data to actually bring up the transactions that you're looking for. So if I'm looking for, show me all my exception transactions, all my voids, all my cancels, show me all my cancels that happen with a certain cashier, we're able to do that utilizing multiple filters. So we can bring in multiple layers of queries here, and utilizing and/or statements, we can do a lot more digging into your vast amount of transactional data that's coming across. When we find a time period that we want to export, exporting that is pretty quick and easy. We come up here and select export. It's going to ask us to designate a export path. You know, we can save this to our desktop. We can save it to a DVD burner, a USB drive. We can also play with the conversion here. So if you choose no conversion, this is going to be sent out as a proprietary format, which, including our viewer here, it's all in one file. It's a proprietary video file format, and it's watermarked and it's secure, so it will hold up in court. If you decide to move into MJPEG or Windows Media files, those don't typically do so well as holding up in court. With the no conversion option, because we include the viewer, you don't have to worry about handing off a video clip to a law enforcement agency and having that law enforcement agency have to search online to look for some sort of obscure video player to play that proprietary format. It's all included there. You hand a disk or a thumb drive to the law enforcement agency. They plug it into their computer, and they're able to bring up the video right away. So that's kind of the tour of the software. There's a whole lot more built in here as far as little feature sets, but from a retail atmosphere and a time perspective, I think that's as deep as we're going to go into the software. Would like to jump back into the PowerPoint here because there are a couple things that that I want to touch on here, and one of those being the integration with RMS. So the integration with RMS is actually a very quick and easy integration to do. What we do is we install a hook on the RMS platform, and that hook asks you two things. It's asking you for a host IP and a port that is communicating on. That hook then listens to that port and listens for communication there and kind of gathers it, duplicates it, and sends it off to our system. Well, then in our system, we do a very similar thing. We ask, we tell what port to listen to. So all we're doing is listening for that data moving around within that network, and when we recognize this as being point-of-sale data or this being people counting data, we grab that and pull that in and store that and then normalize it for you to be viewing at a later date. Some other point-of-sale integrations that we have here, Verifone, Gilbarco, NCR, PC America. So if you're working with some of those other guys, I'm sure you guys are also on RMS truthfully and faithfully. We've got a rock-solid integration with RMS, so that works out very well for all of us. Looking from an access control integration and analytic integration devices, we do have integrations with a lot of different access control companies. So if electronic access control is something that pops up, please give me a call, shoot me an email. we can look at how current that integration is and how we can make that integration work with your video system. We also have advanced analytics, being people counting, all the dwell, the heat mapping, perimeter detections, all those sorts of things that we can do with video analytics coming through VCA technologies. Gives us the ability to even do an analytic for a foreign object or a missing object. So if somebody left something behind, it's a foreign object, shouldn't be there, we can monitor that. And same thing with a missing object. So if we're monitoring an object and want to be notified right away if it goes missing, we're able to do that using video analytics actually built into the cameras themselves. We do offer hardware and software-only solutions. So the software-only solution is a great option for a lot of you guys. I know that being RMS, dealers and users, that a lot of times software is the way that you want to go. We have that software-only solution available for you. We also have the hardware solutions, and the hardware solutions are nice when we start talking about mixing analog and IP video. Maybe there's an instance where there's existing analog cameras in place and they want to utilize those existing cameras. We can provide you the hardware to make that work. All of our systems are built by Dell. The Dell name carries a lot of clout. People love them, and carry a 3-year warranty on them. They're well built. They're built for us through their custom build teams. Really solid platforms. Really happy with those. We do also offer a line of cameras, both IP and analog cameras, anywhere from a simple indoor standard resolution dome camera all the way up to 2 megapixel outdoor weatherproof dome cameras. We also have some encoders in here available as well, so if you're looking at moving an analog camera to an IP camera, we have devices to help facilitate that. This is the DIGIOP 3D people counting camera. As you see there, it is a stereoscopic camera. Really nice thing about this camera is the setup is so easy. It's so simple. The camera has sensors in it to tell what the tilt angle is. Because it's stereoscopic, it can determine how high it has been mounted off the ground. But we can also do things with this like filter out children. So if we want our counting analytics and metrics to reflect only shopping age people, we can filter out children. We can also filter out loiterers. So you get the husband who doesn't want to walk into the store and he wants to hang out by the mall. He's kind of standing by the door, maybe walking back and forth. This camera has the ability to not count him 3 or 4 times as he's walking, kind of in and out the door. Great camera. I can't say enough good things about this camera here and its capabilities, what it can do. We do integrate with a ton of other IP camera manufacturers. So we're looking anywhere from Axis to Acti, Archon, IQY, Panasonic, Sony, Sanyo, Stardot. There's just a ton of different IP camera manufacturers that we do work and play nice with. So if you run into an instance where somebody specifically needs an Archon 180-degree view camera, we integrate with it. It works great. It's a beautiful camera. We'd be more than happy to work with you to make sure everything moves smoothly with those camera integrations. If anybody has any questions, please make sure you include those on the questions side over on the right-hand side. We will get to those and develop answers for you there. My email address is listed down here, so feel free to email me any of your questions as well. It's bdowns@digiop.com. Thank you, everybody, for coming and listening. I'd like to hand it back over to Corey if you're still with us.
Yes, I am, Bill. Thank you so much for that informative and very insightful presentation. It's amazing to me how much retailers can see and track everything regarding consumers just with the right solution. And so we here at Retail Realm are really excited to introduce the DIGIOP solution to our channel. For anyone that missed my little intro at the beginning of this webcast, I'd like to remind everybody that DIGIOP will be emailing you all this slide deck presentation as well as the FAQ. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them to that email on your screen to Bill, and make sure in the subject heading to put DIGIOP webinar questions, and they will compile a list of questions and answers. We also should have the link to the recording of this webinar, and they said to expect all this information by mid-next week. So be looking for that in your email. And also, thank you all for attending. We appreciate and value your time. Thank you, DIGIOP. And as always, if you have any questions for us here at Retail Realm, feel free to contact me at marketing@rrdisty.com. And enjoy your weekend, and goodbye to everybody here.